Hello, welcome to Azure Logic Apps. In this session, we will discuss what is Azure Logic Apps, connector connectors for Azure Logic Apps, monitor run status, review trigger history, and set up alerts for Azure Logic Apps, common scenarios, examples, walkthroughs for Azure Logic Apps. After that, we will log into Azure portal, we will create Logic App, and then we will set up a trigger. Let's talk about Azure Logic Apps, a definition. Azure Logic Apps is a cloud service that helps you schedule, automate, and orchestrate tasks, business processes, and workflows. When you need to integrate apps, data, systems, and services across enterprises or organizations. Logic Apps simplifies how you design and build scalable solutions for app integration, data integration, system integration, enterprise application integration, and business to business communication, whether it in the cloud or on premises or both. For example, I'll give you a few workloads you can automate with Logic Apps. Process and route orders across on-premises systems and cloud services. Send email notifications with Office 365 when events happen in various systems, apps, and services. Third one, move uploaded files from an SFTP or FTP server to Azure storage. Fourth, monitor tweets for a specific subject, analyze the sentiment, and create alerts or tasks for items that need review. How does Logic Apps work? Every Logic App workflow starts with a trigger which fires when a specific event happens or when new available data meets specific criteria. Many triggers provided by the connectors in Logic Apps include basic scheduling capabilities so that you can set up how regularly your workload run. Each time that the trigger fires, the Logic Apps engine creates a Logic App instance that runs the actions in the workflow. These actions can also include data conversions and workflow controls such as conditional statements, switch statements, loops, and branching. Why use Logic Apps? With business moving toward digitalization, Logic Apps help you connect legacy, modern, and cutting-edge systems more easily and quickly by providing pre-built APIs as Microsoft managed connectors. The way you can focus on your apps, business logic, and functionality. You don't have to worry about building, hosting, scaling, managing, maintaining, and monitoring your apps. Connectors for Azure Logic Apps. Connectors provide quick access from Azure Logic Apps to events, data, and actions across other apps, services, systems, protocols, and platforms. By using connectors in your Logic Apps, you expand the capabilities for your cloud and on-premises apps to perform tasks with the data that you create and already have. Connector types. Connectors are available as built-in triggers and actions or as managed connectors. Monitor run status, review trigger history, and set up alerts for Azure Logic Apps. How do we monitor run status? Review trigger history. After you create and run a Logic app, you can check that Logic app's run status, run history, trigger history, and performance. To get notifications about failures or other possible problems, set up alerts. So we will go to the Azure portal. Once we create the Logic app, then we will set up a trigger. And after that, I will show you how to check these status and how to check the trigger history. Let's talk about common scenarios, examples, and walkthroughs for Azure Logic Apps. Azure Logic Apps helps you orchestrate and integrate different services by providing hundreds of ready-to-use connectors ranging from on-premises SQL Server or SAP to Azure Cognitive Services. The Logic Apps service is serverless, so you don't have to worry about scalar instances. All you have to do is define the workflow with a trigger and the actions that the workflow performs. The underlying platform handles scale, availability, and performance. Logic Apps is especially useful for use cases and scenarios where you need to coordinate actions across multiple systems and services. Common starting points for Logic App workflows. Every Logic App starts with a trigger and only one trigger which starts your Logic App workflow and passes in any data as part of the trigger. Some connectors provide triggers. Two types, polling triggers and push triggers. Polling triggers regularly checks the service endpoint for new data. When new data exists, the trigger creates and runs a new workflow instance with the data as input. Push trigger listens for data at a service endpoint and waits until a specific event happens. When the event happens, the trigger fires immediately, creating and running a new workflow instance that uses any available data as input. Let's go to Azure portal and let's just create one Logic app and then set up a trigger. I'm logging into Azure portal. We're in Azure portal. Let's go to home. And on the top of the Azure portal, you can see such options, such resources, services, and docs. I will type Logic Apps. So under the services, we can see a Logic Apps. Let's click on Logic Apps. Let's click on Add. Now I will create a new resource group. I give a name Logic App or resource group. And we need to give a name for this Logic App. I will give test Logic App. Location, I will pick US, Central US. Let's deploy this Logic App. You can see here, deployment in progress. Now deployment succeeded. Let's go to resource. Go to home. Let's go to resource groups. Let's refresh these resource groups. Here we can see all resource group. We just created logic app resource group, and we created a test logic app. Let's go to test logic app. So here you can see the overview of test logic app. Here we can see a logic app resource group, location, central US. And definition, we didn't create any triggers yet. No actions, zero actions. Under the development tools, you can see logic app designer. Let's click on logic app designer. So when you are in logic app designer, you get this screen. You can see start with a common trigger. Pick from one of the most commonly used triggers, then orchestrate any number of actions using the rich collection of connectors. So there are built-in connectors, managed connectors. So you can see all these triggers. So here I want to show you how to set up this trigger. Delete old Azure blobs. Example, if you have any old files, if you want to delete older than 1 week or older than 30 days or older than 1 year, you can choose that. Let's set up this trigger. Delete old Azure blobs. Use this template. So to do that, first we need to have an Azure storage account. Right now we don't have any storage account. I'm going to create a quick storage account, and I will create one blob container. Let's go to home, and under the search, this type storage account. I'll create a new storage account. Let's create this storage account under logic app resource group. Let's give a storage account name, storage account logic app. Storage account name must be unique globally. Let's pick a region, US, East US. Replication locally redundant. Networking tags. I will keep all these options as default. Let's create the storage account. Deployment in progress. Once we create the storage account, we will create one blob container. We'll just place one file. After that, we will go to the logic app designer and we will set up the trigger, delete old blob. Let's go to resource. Now we are in storage account. Once we are in storage account, go to containers and you see new container, click on container and just give a name, blob for logic app test. The blob for logic app test, create. Successfully created storage container. Let's keep one file in this container. Let's upload one file. I'll just place this file in this blob container. Now let's go to home and click on resource groups and go to logic app resource group. That's where we deployed our logic app. And go to logic app. We're in logic apps designer. And then here we want to choose a template. choose a template below to create your logic app. So we are going to select this template, delete old Azure blobs, use this template. This logic app will connect to Azure Blob Storage. So we need to give a name for this connection. Let's say delete old blob file. So we want to delete a old blob files in storage account. Let's select this storage account we just created, storage account logic app, create this. Let's continue. Now, in the first step, you see recurrence, interval 1 time or 2 times, how many intervals you want, and frequency. Do you want to run this frequency day or a month, week, or even you can enter a custom value. For now, I'll just keep frequency as day, interval 1. And second step, set expiration age variable. So here if you see a variable to configure the auto expiration age in days, configured in negative number, default is -30. So here you can change it. If you want to delete any file older than 30 days, you can choose it, or if you want to delete any file older than 90 days, you can set up it. So here I'll just keep it 45 days or 60 days. Let's keep it 60 days. So what it does, this trigger, when it runs, it will check the storage account blob containers. If any files older than 60 days, and this, when it triggers, it will delete any files older than 60 days under storage account under blob containers. And then here you can specify the folder. So this is the folder we created and blob storage. Let's select that folder. Now here you can see the if blob is older than the expiration age, delete it. What is the expiration age we just set up at older than 60 days, expiration age in days. Let's save this logic app test logic app was saved successfully. Now let's go to logic app. So now here you can see that a definition 1 trigger 5 actions. We just created this trigger. If you want to run this trigger, you can run the trigger using this run trigger option. Before we run this trigger, if you want to check the logic app code, you can see the code using this logic app code view. Under the development tools, you can see logic app code view. So here you can see it. Definition and condition actions, delete blob description. If blob is older than the expiration is, delete it. So here you can see that name expiration is in days, value 60. If any file older than 60 days, this trigger will delete all those files. Now let's go to app designer and then let's go to here. You can run the trigger here using this logic app designer, or you can run the trigger using logic app code view. You can see run, or you can go to overview or you can run the trigger here. Okay, so let's go to Logic App Designer. Now we have this trigger available. Let's run this trigger. So here you can see that perform the starting action to view the run. This may take a few moments. Successfully check the trigger. Or you can see it. Just click on this and then you can see frequency, day, interval 1, and expression age in days, integer minus 60 days. And this is the folder we selected and this trigger. Here you can see it. We have only one file available in this folder, and the last modified date May 11. So we don't have any files older than 60 days. So now you can come here, can check the condition, expression result false. This trigger didn't find any files older than 60 days, hence it returned the result, expression result, as false. So no files deleted because no files existing older than 60 days. Now, how to monitor run status, review trigger history, and set up alerts for Azure Logic Apps. Go to overview. You can come underneath. Under the settings, you can see monitoring alerts, metrics, diagnostic settings. So here you can see evaluation. When you click on overview, you can see the summary, recurrence, frequency runs every day. Evaluation evaluated 2 times, fired 2 times in the last 24 hours. Let's see trigger history. So this trigger fired 2 times, and both are times this trigger ran successfully. So this is how, if you want to disable this trigger, you can just use this disable. If you click on disable, this trigger will be disabled. Or if you want to create a new logic app, you don't have to go back and under the search and type logic app. Here you can use a clone option. Using this clone option, you can create a new logic app. Let's say logic app test 1. Resource group, use existing one. Logic app status enabled. When you create this one, when you click on create, it will create a new logic app. Just go to resource group and check this logic app resource group. Just refresh it. It just takes a couple of minutes. We can see here once it deployed. Just refresh it. Now we can see this logic app test 1. We just created this. If you want to edit, you can choose this option and you can edit it. If you want to delete any conditions, you can delete it. This is how you set up triggers using Logic App. If you have any questions, you can comment the channel. Thank you.